Have you ever said 那个啥 when you shouldn't do so? Or 我操 when you should have sworn in English? Well, I have done both. As a fourth grader in a bilingual school where 50 people could hear me clearly. Perhaps you can say that I'm not like the other girls, not because that I'm unique, pretty, or edgy for the matter of fact, but rather that I lacked language proficiency in the correct context. Well, let me reintroduce myself before you get the total wrong impression. I write music, that's who I am, and I also happen to be Chinese. So for me, that would be like practicing how to write a Bach like four-part melody, but then instantly caught up in those folk Chinese tunes from Yunnan, such as, "Oh driver, please take me on the road," or better, "Grab your hips via extension of my arm." This interesting juxtaposition gives a lot of great laughs between me and my friends, but it tends to not be in a laughing manner when it happens every day in my life. I got into the world of music through Western notation as well as Western music theory. I fell in love with Bach, the way chords progressed, how melody and texture weave into each other to create something beautiful. I also loved music of other cultures, such as Argentine tango, which reminds me of a blooming garden Sunday afternoon, and also Middle Eastern folk instruments, which are fairly interesting. And I also got into the music as well as the philosophy of Japan. However, there is one thing that I've always avoided: Chinese music. Be it pop music or Chinese classical music, raised in an international environment, I decided that I do not want to be one of those nationalistic ayi at your family event. Instead, I turned into American divas like Taylor Swift or Ariana Grande. Nothing wrong with them, especially if you enjoy riding on a bicycle from side to side. But it tends to be a problematic thing when I take pride in not being myself, but rather something Western, when Western just means American. First, going up to a public school, later into an bilingual school, and then into international school, it is fair to say that I'm made up of memes, be it Chinese memes, English memes, or better, Chinglish memes, which are entirely different. So, as we all speak English in this school and we're punished if we don't, I start to have English to be my main stage, and it slowly takes over my Chinese. So instead of hearing myself saying 那个啥 in an English conversation, I found myself saying, "I insist to see a manager," when arguing with a security guard in Shenzhen Bay, where my tongue just get lost there. If you didn't notice, I kind of sort of became a Karen. And if you don't know what that term means, it's probably better for you because you are not riding a bicycle between English and Chinese from side to side all the time. It is a weird feeling of feeling almost authentic and almost belonging. It's like being a piece of wheat cookie that fits anywhere, but instead of being soaked in authentic white milk, I'm soaked in soy milk, something made up of beans, not inherently Western, but cooked, baked, and went through all the process, trying so hard to be white. Take the issue of names, for instance. A lot of us will have our first Chinese name when we go to an English class because English conversation is required. And I know, right? It's totally sacrilegious to use your Chinese name in an English conversation. We don't do that here. But such things doesn't just stay in school, it also get carried into the Chinese corporate world, where you see people name themselves with luxury brands such as Tiffany, Chanel, but instantly, as they go back to hometown for 春节, they turn into 翠花 and 狗蛋, which means green flower and dog egg. Well, when taking into my name into account, I am first named Tina by my kindergarten teacher. This name has kind of took over me in that I would insist my dad would address me by my English name, not Chinese name, because I found my Chinese name to be weird, cliche, and sometimes awkward. And I was so embarrassed when 6th grade, I accidentally put my Chinese name, Chinese pinyin, on my name tag and not Tina. I felt so embarrassed, but I didn't really wonder why. It is not until 11th grade, 12th grade, when I realized that, damn, Tina is such a stereotypical Chinese name, thank you. And I decided I'm just not going to be another Tina and changed my name to Tristan. But that didn't work, that just didn't work. It still doesn't feel right. So I turned back and faced the question, why do I feel so embarrassed by addressing myself with my inherent Chinese name? Is that because my name contains a J and a Y and looks Asian-y to the white world? Or is it because my name has always been butchered by any Western tongue? I began to feel so embarrassed, but why do I feel so embarrassed by my own name? Should I actually be embarrassed by it? I tried so hard to fit into the American illusion, which is that, oh, everyone just fit in, without acknowledging that the American norm is actually being confident in yourself, your own identity, and to bring it to the table to share with others. So I began to make these slight changes. The first thing to do is to change my Instagram bio, because I'm Gen Z and my Instagram is everything. So I changed my bio from Tina to Jianing, which felt weird initially, but I kind of got used to it because my name has so many letters instead of 4 letters, so it looked kind of unique. But later on, I began to put these names into college propaganda websites in which they ask for your preferred name. And I also began to address myself as Jianing when meeting new people through Zoom calls. And after all, though the transition is awkward, weird, and feeling like an imposter in my own skin, at the end of the day, I do feel better as it is something that I inherently identify with. Growing up internationally means that we are exposed to a lot of things, be it Western, Eastern, family-wise, school-wise, event-wise, summer school-wise, college-wise. We are exposed to various things that we haven't seen before, or being put to norm of something that we might not identify with. Finding my identity is kind of like finding my own voice in music. I choose the element that I personally identify with, and as those things that I identify with became a collage, that kind of became my own identity. It takes time for me to define myself, to find my own identity, but in the end of the day, despite how much I love Bach, I am not Bach. Despite how much I enjoy Ariana's music, I kind of sadly is not Ariana. And there's nothing wrong with it. I feel comfortable in my own identity and my own name, and has started to see the beauty in it. Thank you.